y'all, Sarah and Mike Morrison here with Morrison's Outdoor Adventures. We are down in Wilmington, North Carolina at Cape Fear Customs. Our good friend Matt runs Cape Fear Customs, and he has allowed us to come down today and show you 3 different Gladiators: Sport, Overland, and the Rubicon. We're going to walk through and show you the ins and outs of them.
Yeah, so as well as supplying the vehicles for us today, he's also opened up his facilities to us, so we're going to actually be able to put the Gladiators up on a lift, take a look underneath of them, and we really want to find out what makes the Jeep Gladiator specifically so off-road capable and one of the top contenders in its market. But also we want to kind of show you the difference between the 3 main models that Jeep produces with the Gladiator, so that you guys can make an educated decision for what vehicle you would like if you're interested in purchasing a Gladiator. So as you guys kind of follow along, if you have questions, we don't answer them in the video, drop them down in the comments and we'll answer them if we can, or if we can't, we'll find someone who can. But let's go ahead and get started.
Hey guys, so I am in the Sport Gladiator, and I'm going to talk about some of the features that it has inside to you today. First of all, the Sport is more the basic model, so you have the cloth seats. You do have air conditioned, powered windows, which you find in the middle because the doors can come off, and you have power mirrors, and you have power door locks. You do have a small backup camera, and you have Bluetooth capability. So, and a pretty deep, you have a little secret compartment, and then you flip this up and it's pretty deep in there. I feel like you could put a lot of stuff down in there. Storage. So I actually got to drive this today to get it into the shop. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I liked and what I didn't like. So of course we drive a Ram 2500, so it's big and the mirrors are big, everything's big on it. So when I got in here into the Sport and went to back it up, I noticed how tiny the mirrors were, like this big. Thankfully it does have the backup camera to help you, and you just kind of have to like turn your head and look. So adjustments if you go from driving a big vehicle down to this. But it did drive real smooth. I liked how it was easy to maneuver it, and it was easy to back up, and just overall it was a smooth drive. It's a smooth driving vehicle. A little tight up here when you're used to a big truck, but so it takes some adjustment if you want to go down to the Gladiator. There's a little glove box. Comes with some books. You want to jump? Oh, and the air conditioner works because it's hot today, and I turned it on. It was nice and cool. So, do you want to jump in the back seat now and look? Take a look at. Okay, so we're in the back seat now of the Sport, and being a mother, I think about kids, and we also have 2 dogs. So as you can see, there's not a ton of leg room, but our boys will fit nice back here. If you have a car seat, they have the lock-ins, and then you can also flip up the seats, which is a nice feature if you need to put something back here that you don't want to get wet, and have quite a bit of storage down here. There's a little compartment over here. I have no idea what it's for, but I'll open it for you. Maybe somebody out there in the Jeep world knows. And then I like this. This is cool. You can put the seats back down, and then you can flip them down. So and these 2 flip down too, but if you need a straight area across, you actually have that storage too. So that's a nice feature. And the little window in the back will open right there to give you a little bit of airflow. And then being the Gladiator, you have the nice bed of the truck. So that's nice. You have open area that you can carry stuff in if you need to. Let's see how the tailgate works. Nice, easy release. So there you have it, the inside of the Sport Gladiator.
All right guys, we got the Gladiator up on the lift here at Cape Fear Customs. We're going to take a look underneath and find out exactly what makes the Gladiator an excellent off-road vehicle as well as a robust platform for Jeep's new truck. All right, so underneath here, first off, the Gladiator comes factory with Dana 44s front and rear. So we don't have that pesky Dana 30 to worry about, weaker axle platform. Also, they mount the front breather right here up into the engine compartment. So you can see where it's mounted up through here, through the frame, so that the front axle and differential is not going to take in water when we're splashing through the mud or fording a river. Then here, we've got the coil springs for the front, gives us nice articulation, also a comfortable ride off-road and more comfortable ride on-road. Sway bars, with our sway bar links, we can see how beefy the upper and lower portion of the sway bar links are here. So moving to the other side here, we can get a better look. But our drag link comes down here. You can see how big and robust our drag link is, which is what comes down from our steering and connects to our tire and pushes and drags it back and forth. Here we've got our tie rod that ties all the way across. Again, big and beefy. It's about big enough for me to reach, just barely reach my hand around. We can also see here the nice forged tie rod ends. And here we can see structurally where they bolt in place with the steering stabilizer brace, and we see how big and beefy they are. So they're going to be fairly strong. All right, guys, so we're at the back now. Again, Dana 44 rear axle, nice and beefy. Also, we can see the breather that goes up, and it's all the way up underneath the bottom of the bed here. That's what gives the Gladiator 30 inches of fording depth. So we know that if we're 30 inches and under, having to do a stream crossing or in mud or whatever, we're keeping all that water and mud out of our internals here. So on the back, again, you know, the Mopar family's gotten really heavy or really into using coil springs on the rear of their pickup trucks. Even the Ram series, the 2500 runs coil springs on the rear. But that's what gives us all that articulation off-road, but still boasts up to a 1,700 pound payload capacity for this little Gladiator truck, which is a lot for a mid-sized pickup truck in this market. We can also see the long rear sway bar links, allowing the sway bar to give us nice articulation off-road, but also not a whole lot of body sway on the road. All right here, underneath the vehicle, we can see the factory built-in skid plate right here for the gas tank. Then moving forward, we've got a transfer case skid in place also from the factory. Gives it just a little bit more rigidity if we're bouncing along rocks off-road or have any issues like that. Now, a lot of people, after they've had their Jeep for a little bit and they do some work to it, they're going to replace these factory skids and go with something a little bit more robust if they're going to be beating on some rocks and things like that. But at least from the factory, we know we've got a little bit of protection when we're off-road. All right, so here we're taking a look at the brakes. The Gladiator boasts robust brakes, front and rear, with four-wheel disc brakes. That's a step above Toyota, who's still running drum brakes on their Tacoma series, right? So drum brakes, old school, they have to adjust, they get mud trapped in them. The disc brakes hold up better, and they do a much better job stopping that heavy load, larger rolling resistance tires, that heavier payload or towing load that we're carrying behind us. So that's a big plus for the Gladiator, kind of above and beyond the rest of the crowd. All right, guys, this is the power plant of the Jeep Gladiator. Just like the JL, it's got the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, roughly about 285 horsepower, 260 foot-pound of torque. Pretty strong little motor. It's been a good one. They've been running it since the later JK models. It's been a great motor for Jeep. It's worked extremely well. This is also the power plant that gives the Gladiator the 7,600 payload capacity for towing, and the 1,700 payload capacity gives it the power to haul that around. So along with that, decent fuel economy. Again, it's a four-wheel drive vehicle. You're going to get about 16, 17 miles around town, about 20 to 23 miles per gallon out on the highway. So it's not going to be great, but you're driving a Jeep for smiles, not for gas mileage, right? So looking underneath the hood here, this is kind of where everything goes on. Jeep did a good thing of getting all the super vulnerable pieces and parts up high so we don't have to worry about pesky mud and water. Again, 30 inches of fording depth. That's something to boast about. That's pretty high up there. You got your air intake over on the corner that raises it up nice and high. Our alternator's up nice and high. Our battery and our fuse box in the back is nice and high, as well as this is where they pipe. Again, we talked about the breathers for the differential in the front. This is where they pipe it up to keep it nice and clear and out of the way. So again, great power plant. Also, they have two options. You can get a 6-speed manual transmission if you're into the manual transmission, or if you want to stick with the automatic, they do have the new 8-speed automatic. It's a great automatic. It does give it nice range as far as on the trails and on the road. It gives it a little bit of extra pep having that 8-speed. But if you're like me and you like to shift gears, you can still get that 6-speed manual. It's one of the only vehicles left on the market that you can get in a manual transmission. That's huge, right? Toyota Tacoma was kind of boasting there for a while, the only truck you can get in a manual transmission. Well, guess what? The Gladiator you can too. But for most people, that automatic's going to be the way to go. It is easier to drive an automatic off-road, especially if you don't have a lot of experience driving a manual transmission.
Hey guys, so now we have the Jeep Gladiator Overland in the shop. So we're going to tell you how it differs a little bit from the Gladiator Sport S that we just had in here. So we're going to start on the outside and work our way into the vehicle. So you can see the color match. They just match the hood with the fenders all around. They have 18-inch alloy wheels. And then they have a nice, convenient running board, plastic. Don't confuse it with rock sliders because it will not protect the vehicle if you go over rocks. Okay? Now let's go to the inside of the vehicle. Okay guys, now we're inside the Overland and we're going to talk about the difference between this and the Sport S. So we'll start with the seats. The seats are nice and leather and they have Overland embroidered into them. And they also have leather cover steering wheel, grab bar, door handle, and the emergency brake. So it just gives it a nicer feel and more up to date. Another cool thing about the Overland that the Sport S did not have is a bigger screen. So it has a more updated radio system. So you have the speaker bar behind you, so you have more speakers. And when you back up, this is, because it's a bigger screen, is a bigger backup camera. Okay, so as I was saying, in the back they can put the windows down. Something different that the Sport S also didn't have was the passengers can plug in their devices back here. See, and a little light comes on so you can see where it is when you open it. And they also have a real plug-in. The seats fold up. I don't think it folds as flat as the S did, but maybe I just have a lapse in my memory, but still storage under here. And this is fold up. So see, when you have the whole back seat, you have quite a bit of storage room. You still have this to deal with, but you can put groceries and such right here and they won't go sliding around. And then the seats also fold down flat, so if you needed to put something in here that couldn't get wet, you have this flat surface, and then you have storage back here. There's a little storage pocket over there. And you also have your little back window that opens too. Okay? So this vehicle is definitely more luxury than the Sport S. So let's look at the back in the bed. So you can see in the bed, this bed isn't lined. So a good thing to do if you get a Gladiator, you want to get the bed spray with any truck. That's what we did, and it's been a miracle worker. Let's look at the tailgate. Also, easy release. So not too many differences, but some. The big one being that the overland is leather, where the S was cloth seating. Stay tuned as we're going to go up underneath it and check it out.
All right, guys, so this is one I'm sure everybody's been waiting for, the Rubicon, the Gladiator Rubicon. So some major improvements. Again, Jeep always up in their game with better off-road capability. The Rubicon Gladiator is no different. So with this one, we still get the color match fender flares like the Overland, the leather interior and stuff, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But what really sets the Rubicon apart is its off-road prowess. The capabilities of the Rubicon: factory front and rear lockers, factory electronics disconnecting sway bar, small, tiny little bit more ground clearance, and we get a much more aggressive tire. The wheels, again, sticking with the alloy wheels, better fuel economy, helps Jeep kind of match that fuel economy they're required to have. But some of the exterior benefits we get with the Rubicon is we do get a front-facing camera for the off-road mode. Lets you kind of look in front of the vehicle as you're going down the trail, but doesn't mean get too in tune with it as you're going down. Remember to look outside that windshield. Only glance at that front-facing camera. One of the other things we get is these awesome rock rails that do work as sliders. Now, do they necessarily mean that they get the ability to lift the vehicle from? I'm not going to test it on a brand new Gladiator that's not mine, but in the past you could not quite lift from them without them flexing a little bit. But they did an awesome job of protecting the body of the former Rubicons. Now, with the Rubicon and the little bit of luxury you get with it, you're still keeping the same automatic transmission, you're still keeping the same motor. You still got a 3.6 Pentastar. You can get a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic. But the transfer case is where the Rubicon really shines. You get a 4-to-1 rock track transfer case. What does that mean? That means you get 4 times the gear reduction versus the stock transfer case that the Sport and the Overland come with. That gives you a much slower crawl speed. So when you're going over the rocks, you can really modulate that throttle and keep very slow movements, so you don't have to lurch over rocks and do damage if for whatever reason you scrape over one, or you don't accidentally lurch into a rock and grab your differential on one. That slower crawl speed is what really helps the Rubicon. Now, we do get some really cool exterior stylings. I'm not a big white vehicle guy. I really don't like white vehicles, but the Rubicon white really looks cool. You notice the Rubicon on the hood here, it's black outlined in red. You do get the black hood louvers that help to dissipate the heat as it's crawling over stuff, because when we are going off-road, we're typically going slower speeds, so we're not getting as much airflow. So it really wants to try to get as much of that heat out as we can. Notice here the red etched trail rated, and then down here we've got the red etched Jeep with the Gladiator. White, a little bit of black, as well as that red. Man, it's just an awesome looking vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to walk around the outside here and get some better shots. But as we walk around the outside, I'll point out a few key features that really help out, and then we'll move to the inside. All right? All right. So the Rubicon running the Falcon Wild Peak ATs. You can see it's a really aggressive all-terrain tire. It's almost a hybrid tire in between an all-terrain and a mud-terrain. You see it's got the siping for the snow, really open tread, big blocky design. So I would imagine, I don't have any experience with the Falcons, but I would imagine this tire is awesome off-road. So they're running a 285/70 R17, so it's a considerable bit size bigger than what comes on the Sport, Sport S, or the Overland. So you really get a much meatier tire with the Rubicon. Moving around to the front here, you can see we've got our red recovery points, makes them easier to spot. Our forward-facing camera right here even has a little washer on the front in case it gets muddy, so you can spray it off. But you do have 2 frame mounted recovery points here on the front. They are in line with the frame. Probably Jeep does one of the best jobs on the market for having the best actual real true recovery points, not tow points, which a lot of vehicles have and a lot of people mistake for recovery points. All right, so didn't talk about it on the Overland model, but here we do have the LED light package. One thing Jeep's really notorious for is bad lights. So they did, I think on the JL and on the later model JKs, they upgraded to an LED light package. Really gives you some good lights, which is important. We all like going out on the trail at nighttime, and these really help to be able to see. Even down here with your fog lights, it's an LED light package. Also known as blinder lights, right? You'll know a Jeep when you pass one on the road because it's gonna blind you. All right? Here we're gonna get a good shot so you can really see these rock rails here, or rock sliders, textured black, okay? So again, I wouldn't necessarily use these to lift with a high lift jack or something like that, but they are gonna protect the rocker of your vehicle when you're off-road. We do, again, get a little bit more protection for the bed corners here. Again, steel protection bolted up to the frame underneath. All right, on the rear of this, again, we get nice, sturdy recovery points in line with the frame. One thing that the Jeep Gladiator and the JL, as well as all the past Wranglers, are known for, it's got that ladder frame construction. No unibody here. It's that nice, strong frame, right? A lot of people are going to that unibody construction, but Wrangler and Gladiators are keeping that ladder frame. So that means our recovery points are bolted to that ladder frame, making it a whole lot stronger. Means we can do good, solid recoveries from it. All right, so just like the Overland, you get the nice leather seats. Here in red, we've got Rubicon embossed into the seat. You can see we've got some red accents as well with the piping and stitching on the seats. Moving up here to the dash, we've got some nice red accents on the dash. Still got the nice big picture screen up here with the upgraded stereo system, subwoofer, sound bar, and so forth. Leather wrap steering wheel, red stitching, emergency brake, and our doors, as well as our center console right here. Now, the one thing I did notice about this, you can get it as an option with all Wranglers, but here on the roof, we actually have some insulation added in with the hard tops. One thing most of us know about hard tops, and they get hot because they're so thin, they don't offer a whole lot of heat dissipation, and a lot of times they're black. This insulation right here, will help keep it cooler on the inside and help keep some of that road noise out. All right, so no real difference back here. Again, we still got the cargo area underneath. Seats fold up and down. So it's the same as all the other models. Same back window opens here. Still got the insulated headliner here. Big difference with the Rubicon that I've seen, they actually added this MOLLE attachment accessory on the back of the seats. So you can put your first aid kits here and different MOLLE bags on the back here. I know a lot of people say that's too tactical, but me, myself, I carry a lot of gear in a truck. I like it to be able to kind of organize my stuff in the back. You know, I'll have my first aid pouch right here. I'll have a little tool pouch here, maybe a little something extra in another pouch, or maybe even my kids, so they can have easy access to their chargers and stuff that they need, binoculars, right on the back of the seat so that they can quickly grab it if they need access to it. So I think that's a pretty cool feature. Just like the Overland model, you have all of the option groups right here, windows, chargers, full charger there, as well as the AC vents there. So pretty cool. Interior, all LED lighting, makes it really nice. All right guys, so we've got the Rubicon up on the lift here. Let's take a look at what really makes the Rubicon what it is. So when you look underneath here, first things first, you're gonna notice the upgraded box shocks that are up here in the back, and we'll get a good look at those in a second when we can loop around there. But you've also got that front and rear locker. So the front locker, you can only engage after you've engaged the rear locker. But that locker allows you to get equal torque to both front tires, meaning that both front tires are going to spin regardless of what type of terrain you're on. Now, lockers aren't for all the time, but they certainly help sometimes when you need them. The other thing that we've got here is electronic disconnecting sway bar. And the way it works is up here, it's got a little dog's ear clutch that releases so that the sway bar can articulate more. And when you get back on flat ground again, re-engages so that it still limits the body roll when you're off-road. So you don't quite get as much flex if it was a true disconnecting sway bar where you took the links off, but it does make life a whole lot easier as far as sway bar on, sway bar off. But you can only use it in four-wheel drive low range. All right, so we'll get a good shot of these Fox shocks here. You see those Fox shocks get a little bit more, 11.1 inches of ground clearance with the Rubicon. It's a step up from the Sport and the Overland model. Also see a little bit of upgraded shock there, right? Really gives it the flex. Next on the list, we see here the transfer case. So this is that Rock Track 4-to-1 transfer case. And this is really what makes a Rubicon what it is. Gives you that really slow crawl speed that you have. A lot of people ask, well, what is a transfer case to? Well, transfer case not only reduces the gear ratio, but also transfers the power to the front and the rear of the vehicle. So this is where that split happens. That sends the power to the front and the rear of the vehicle. You can see the drive shaft coming off the rear here, as well as the drive shaft coming off the front right here. So after it comes out of the transmission, the transfer case splits that power, also gives you the gear reduction in four-wheel drive low range. Rock Track 4-to-1 means that the gear reduction is 4 times, right? So that really gives us that slow crawl speed. Coming on to the back here, again, upgraded Fox shocks, right? So we've got that beefy shock. They also have these rock guards on them. Plastic rock guards, so you don't have to worry about the shaft getting pinged with rocks and then leaks forming. Then that rear locker again, right? So we can get that rear locker on these, engage that, we can engage the front locker. Means we've got 50-50 power at the rear, right? We don't have to worry about one wheel peel or anything like that. We get true distribution of torque all the way throughout the vehicle. Nice full-size spare in the rear here on the Rubicon as well. And we can see here where these supports on this vehicle tied directly to the frame, right? Nice and strong. We don't have to worry about damage on those. So that, in a nutshell, is the Rubicon. That's what makes the Rubicon such an off-road capable model. Again, recap, front-facing off-road camera. We also get that Rock Track 4-to-1 transfer case that gives us that awesome gear reduction. We get front and rear factory lockers, and we get electronic disconnecting sway bar. Pretty cool. We get an upgraded suspension, bigger tire, a little bit beefier tire as well. So if you're really looking for that off-road model, you don't really plan on doing a lot of modifications to it. You're going to keep it pretty close to what it is. A lot of times the Rubicon's the way to go. Off the showroom floor is one of the most capable four-wheel drive pickup trucks if you're looking at rock crawling. So if you're really looking to modify something down the road, you're going to be putting a much larger lift on it. You want to do your own lockers, and a lot of different stuff to it. Maybe go ahead and get the Overland or the Sport S or the Sport even, and do your modifications to it, and do your ARB air lockers, your lift, rock sliders. Maybe you want something a little bit more beefier. So just depends on what you want. But today we've looked at the Sport S, right? Kind of not a step above baseline, power windows, power door locks, power side view mirrors, cloth seats, same powertrain, just different transfer case as everything else we've looked at. Kind of a semi-aggressive tire, a good kind of medium range, quiet tire for on the road and some gravel roads. Then we got into the Overland, awesome color scheme, upgraded luxury, better stereo, bigger touchscreen radio. We got kind of the comfort package with the leather, the embossed or stitching in the seats that say Overland. We also got those plastic side steps, not rock sliders like Sarah told us. So after that, we moved right in to the Rubicon here. So the Rubicon, a lot of those luxury options also, heated leather seats, bigger screen radio with all that, power door locks, power windows, all the good stuff, but we get all that off-road prowess as well. Obviously, you're gonna pay for it, but hey, fun's not free, right? So thank you guys for joining us. We really want to thank Cape Fear Customs for letting us in, New Earth Motors for sending these vehicles down, giving us this lift, and we'll hopefully get a chance to meet some of the Cape Fear Custom guys later on in another video. But remember, leave a comment down in the comment section if you have a question about Jeep stuff that we didn't answer. If we don't know it, we'll find it out for you. Thank you guys.